Welcome. I'm Doug Morgan, and you're listening to Uncommon Sense, where we hunt for the truth in the topics you're not supposed to talk about, Christianity and politics. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who substitute darkness for light and light for darkness, who substitute bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. That's Isaiah 5:20, and that is what the Bible says will happen here on earth. We are now seeing it happen among liberal leftists here in the U.S. These are the people that claim how open-minded they are and tolerant of all diversities. But this is not the case, and the assassination of Charlie Kirk just highlighted this. In fact, let me read to you this article from Amanda Harding of the Daily Wire, and it says, the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination has been very revealing. Conservatives have long understood themselves scorned by leftists dominating mainstream media, Hollywood, education, and most major industries in the United States. But the cold-blooded murder of one of the most promising voices on the right inspired reactions that were unprecedented. One unlikely place where Kirk's assassination became a hot topic of conversation: Hollywood's stunt community. A stunt coordinator is responsible for designing, choreographing, and safely executing all stunt sequences in film and television, from fight scenes to high-risk action sequences. With people's lives literally on the line, their job is no joke. That's what makes it especially chilling that several members of the stunt coordinator community were publicly celebrating Kirk's assassination seemingly without consequences. Professional stunt coordinator Eric Aude, spelled A-U-D-E, told the Daily Wire that he's being harassed and blacklisted by his colleagues for speaking out against this despicable behavior. While other stunt coordinators cheered Kirk's death on social media, he fought back, commenting that their statements could and should lead to losing work and their reputations. He mentioned a private Facebook page for the stunt community where most of these posts were circulating, pointing to popular stunt coordinator Andy Rusk as one of the biggest offenders who, quote, really went out of his way to smear Kirk's legacy. This is despicable. How did the assassination, this is what Rusk wrote on Facebook. It says, this is despicable. How did the assassin miss his big A head? That was what he wrote as a comment on Facebook. Quote, if you're somebody who agrees with the awful stuff Charlie Kirk had to say about minorities, black women, gays, trans people, immigrants, etc., I can't imagine how I could ever trust you on a movie set. People who share white supremacist and misogynist views have no place in our business, is another comment by Rusk. He wrote a third comment. Quote, the future is gay, black, female, and immigrant. And no matter how much CK and others like him punch down on those communities, they can't stop it, unquote. Well, Oz said he couldn't believe the types of comments Rusk was willing to publish on Facebook. Said rather than just saying, you know what, I don't like him and leaving it at that, he doubled down, tripled down. I'm sorry, your friends are racist and bigoted, and I don't think I can hire conservatives. And that's when I chimed in saying, it's funny that you think you're going to have a lot of jobs to offer people after your words get out there. And according to Odd, Rusk bragged that he couldn't be canceled. Quote, Andy Rusk literally said, go ahead, try to cancel me. Many have tried, and it's never going to happen. The stunt industry feels like they're a bubble and that nothing can touch them. They think that they're the only ones that can police themselves. What most shocked Odd most was that the number of people taking the Rusk's side. Quote, he's got over 260 people now, and these are all stunt professionals who are loving his post, who are in solidarity with him, who are definitely openly hating the right and Christians and conservatives, and for sure Charlie Kirk. Odd said the page administration removed most of the offensive posts and updated the page rules to say no politics were allowed. But before that, he took screenshots of the most alarming posts. Sorry, not sorry, Charlie. Karma is a post from Bobby C. King, a stunt coordinator for both independent films and performer for major blockbusters like Spider-Man, the one in 2022. I'm sorry, 2002. Neil Chandler agreed by saying, F. Charlie Kirk, one less. Here's another one. Quote, the guy was an open racist, hate monger. The thing about hate, you can try to direct it, but you can't control it. He was a product of his own demise. It is what it is. That was from actor Shahid Malik, and that's what he wrote on there. Here's another one. Quote, F that racist B. Is his wife available yet? She's getting all the money from you right-wing losers. I want to destroy each one of you. That came from a stunt actor, Troy Brenna, and reached for comment. Malik said, "Oh, I definitely stand by that." So it wasn't just some one-off that he, shouldn't have said. He stands by it. He double downs on it. Quote, when you do good, generally people don't try to kill you, Malik said, before adding, I am indifferent on the whole situation. Whoop-de-friggin-do. Well, Rusk and King did not respond to the requests. Probably a good thing. Brenna could not be reached for comment, is what they said. And it wasn't all negative, however. He described how Eddie Kana, a former far left liberal who works as an actor and producer, spoke up against the vitriol. He said, I was very happy to see that he was actually standing up for Kirk, is what Odd noted. It's well documented that A-list celebrities tend to lean left and aren't afraid to spout political opinions. But among the crews working behind the scenes in entertainment business, including the people building sets and rigging lights and otherwise making productions run smoothly, politics are more likely to be mixed or even lean conservative. And Odd said the harassment became personal when he acknowledged knowing Kirk. Quote, I met him. We only had lunch one time, but we were friends, and he's always responded. He downloaded my book, and I supported him. I'm a Christian. I'm a conservative, and I've always kept. I've always kind of kept my beliefs. I mean, I've been outspoken, but after this, and seeing the open mockery and hatred, and people laughing, just like my God, it's no longer left and right, it's evil and good. The fallout from voicing his views and his willingness to speak up online has already cost Odd work. He said, I literally just lost a job that could have started working Sunday to Friday on a show out in Utah, he said during a phone interview. Quote, the assistant called me and said, Eric, I'm sorry, I think this is messed up, but they were worried that people might have an issue with you being an open conservative and a Charlie Kirk supporter on set. And I'm like, what? When I get on set, I keep my mouth shut. I do my job. I keep people safe. And if I work for people that I know think differently than me, I'm still there to keep them safe because that's my job. And then here these guys are saying, well, I don't think I can trust a conservative. Well, it's not us hurting people. Your side is hurting people. And Odd says that the stunt community is in a full-on civil war as leftist members continue saying the most vile, disgusting stuff without being held accountable even. And he added, I've never been friendly to conservatives, but we've always been told to never talk politics. People can walk around set with Black Lives Matter on their face mask or rainbow stickers everywhere, and Kamala support. But if I had the balls to walk around with a Trump hat, I'd be kicked off the set that very second. Despite the intimidation, Odd says Kirk's death has woken people up, and he's glad to be on the front lines. He said, quote, people are stepping up more. I'm getting a lot of support. Unfortunately, the support comes in DMs and text messages. There needs to be more. He said, adding that the leftists only feel emboldened because they stupidly think that they are actually the majority when they're not. He also blasted the hypocrisy of accountability in Hollywood, saying, quote, I wouldn't go around and openly mock Biden or Kamala if something bad happened to them, because that's still disgusting behavior. But for some reason, it's only one side that's ever held accountable, and that needs to change. Once this all gets out there, it's going to hopefully be a wake-up call that this isn't okay. And when asked what he hopes comes of exposing the harassment, Odd said, I want everyone to see what's happening over here because that is not okay. I don't want these guys to, who think they're untouchable, to know that they are not untouchable. I want them to be held accountable for their words, and I hope they change. For Odd, it's not about revenge, but about justice. He said, quote, silence isn't going to get us through this. Even the smallest light shines bright in the darkest room. It really does, because this can't happen again. People need to start speaking up. I know a lot of people have been, but I still think it's not enough. And Odd also knows that coming forward with a story could mean he never works again in Hollywood. But he said he doesn't care anymore. Quote, sacrificing my career, so be it. I wish I could have done more. I really do, he told the Daily Wire. He said, I'd rather be able to look at myself in the mirror and respect who I am. I'm pissed about all this, he said. He was, quote, he was the nicest one of us, and they killed him. You see, Charlie Kirk loved to go to the university campuses and have these discussions. But that was unacceptable to the left. In fact, Jack Komaroff, writing for the Stanford Review. So the Stanford Review is Stanford's, newspaper, so to speak. And this is what he wrote. Now get this. This was over a year ago. So this is about a year and a half ago. And this is what he wrote. And see if it doesn't ring true. He said, at the core of the Democratic Party platform is the notion of tolerance. We see this in a range of topics, from gender-affirming surgeries to marijuana legalization, and these positions exemplify how Democrats market themselves as being a party that strives to be accepting of others and their individual life choices. But this presentation is a farce. Progressivism, which has co-opted the mainstream Democratic Party, has never been about tolerance. To be truly tolerant, you must ultimately tolerate those who fall outside of your Overton window, the acceptable range of ideas, and not merely those within your coalition. Yet, hardened progressives reject the principle of tolerance wholesale. Nowhere is this fact more apparent than on college campuses. He says, I, like many of my conservative friends, surround myself with people from across the political spectrum. I am naturally going to befriend more left-leaning people than right-leaning simply because of the preponderance of Stanford students who identify as liberals and progressives and Democrats. It's simply math. It is also precisely because of this imbalance that left-leaning students do not need to venture outside of their echo chambers to make friends. I have seldom met a right-leaning peer that traffics exclusively with other conservatives. The same cannot be said for progressives. Coming from a district in New York City, I was no stranger to being surrounded by a sea of liberalism. Virtually all of my high school teachers were openly progressive. My parents were both relatively liberal. And living in this environment, I was constantly presented with views that I disagreed with, sometimes vehemently. Yes, I always took our disagreements as a learning opportunity to discover alternative points of view, while reaffirming my own beliefs by respectfully debating issues with my peers. I met people where they were and tried to find commonalities where I could. But I always knew that these individuals, no matter how far to the left that they were decent humans who just supported a different set of policies than me. People who simply believed in a different value set of a way of life than I did. That is the beauty of democracy and this incredible republic that we call America. It was my hope that people on the left would extend the same grace that I try to extend to them, to meet me where I am. Sometimes this happened. Oftentimes it didn't. During one of my first few weeks at Stanford, I was taking a stroll with some colleagues, and one of my peers mentioned she was studying political science. I said, that's so cool. I'm not a poli-sci major, but I consider myself to be a political junkie of sorts, and I can't get enough of it. We proceeded to chat, and eventually she asked what publications I read. I generally try to consume lots of media. So I told her I watched a bit of CNN, a little Fox, and read a lot of the Wall Street Journal. Quote, oh, you're one of those people, is what she replied. I suppose that she had correctly assumed some of my political beliefs. We continued down this thread for a little longer, but the tenor of our conversation had become noticeably different. There was a palpable air of disgust emanating from her. And I have many friends who are staunch Democrats, and I would never abandon our friendship or preclude it altogether because of a political disagreement. Politics is merely one avenue through which friends can connect. But why does it seem that this level of tolerance only extends one way? This disparity is particularly appalling when we examine a supposed core tenet of progressivism: diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI. Democrats have campaigned on being a party of tolerance and acceptance, yet when it comes to open discussion and the exchange of ideas, progressives are often the least tolerant people. If we look back to some of the most prominent voices of the new left in the 1960s, it becomes clear that intolerance and leftism have always been tied at the hip, especially at the universities. In 1965, the father of the left, philosopher Herbert Marcuse, poised that in order to create a repressive civilization, society would need to ban alternative viewpoints that he deemed non-tolerant. This framework was known as repressive tolerance. That's what repressive tolerance. And it has since become the core of modern progressive ideology. In fact, during the May 68 Paris student revolt, participants held up banners that read Marx, Mao, Marcuse. Marcuse's framework is now used in our current political system, in which Democrats use Marcusean logic as an ideological excuse to dismiss Republicans and their concerns. As one example, Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has frequently said that the GOP's proposed policies to secure America's porous border are part of its discrimination agenda, as they call it. Do not believe the PR campaign of the Democratic Party. Progressives are not about tolerance. They are about quashing what they consider intolerant beliefs. If you want to see how this sad reality in action is happening, talk to students on campus and express any political opinion that is 1 inch right of center. Then watch as those refuse to entertain the said opinion. Such liberal intolerance needs to end. I call upon all Stanford students to widen your Overton window. Do not reject conversations outright, and never end a friendship over policy disagreements. We owe it to each other to find common ground and reject echo chambers. In the end, the spirit is what makes America so incredible. And I want to bring you one more article today. And this goes back to 2016. So this is kind of interesting. February 18th of 2016, which of course is right as Obama is leaving office, okay? And it comes from Kim R. Holmes, PhD. She's the former executive vice president of the Heritage Foundation. And this is what she writes. She says, "Why have liberals become so intolerant? They think nothing of denying someone as prominent as former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice from speaking on a college campus. They embrace activists who shut down speakers. They publicly shame people for the slightest deviation from liberal orthodoxy. For them, everything from science to the law is settled once that they get into power. Progress is a one-way street. Their mindset is the very definition of closed-mindedness. The easy answer would be, well, they are all bad people. But frankly, that's a cop-out. Not all liberals are bad people, any more than all conservatives are angels. No doubt among the the fevered minions of liberal activists. There are people with, shall we say, psychological issues. But that doesn't explain why so many otherwise reasonable people are so beholden to liberalism as an ideology. The short answer is that it pays. A lot of people in and out of government benefit. Liberalism also makes people feel good. Whether you are politician dispensing government benefits or the citizen receiving them, liberalism hides the self-interest and sometimes even greed that motivate people. But the devotion of liberalism into something something now openly illiberal has causes far more complex than these familiar explanations provide. For one thing, liberalism is no longer mainly about ideas. It's about power, as in who has it and who doesn't. Believing they already know the answers to all questions, liberals view politics and governing as mopping up operations. Academic research is about proving a point rather than discovering the truth. Science is treated as the private preserve of a certain ideology, not to mention a political weapon to justify preferred policy outcomes. Mistaking, as they do, their ideology for morality, they see no reason to shun the most cynical of political tactics to get their way. For them, the end justifies the means. Second, liberalism today is not the liberalism of yesteryear. It's not Franklin Roosevelt's or John Kennedy's liberalism. It's not even the liberalism of Bill Clinton. It has become something much more radical. Bill Clinton talked about the era of big government being over. Today, there is virtually no government program that liberals won't embrace. Clinton had his sister soldier moment when he replicated the extremism of his party. Today, liberals can't get close enough to the Black Lives Matter movement. Third, liberals have surrendered to, some would say created, the nasty culture of intolerance that infuses our popular culture. To this extent, they are not at all different from some self-proclaimed right-wing people who do the same. But the difference is, or at least is supposed to be, that liberals profess to be the party of the open-minded. They have become anything but. Now that they control so many of our institutions, our universities, high-tech corporate boardrooms, the entertainment industry, and increasingly even mainstream churches, they are closing the door behind them, making sure that no one, especially conservatives, will speak and sneak in the back door. And finally, liberalism has become hostile to open inquiry. Liberal intellectuals used to love open-ended debates because they thought they could win people over with their intelligence and wit. No more. Today's liberal intellectuals are much more interested in stifling debates than having them. After all, who needs debates when all the big questions have been answered by their ideology? Liberals are no longer the scruffy radicals of Washington Square, but a tenured Mandarin class hotly competing for government research grants. There's an old saying, he who controls knowledge controls power. Liberals get this adage instinctively. They treat truth not as wisdom, as something to be discovered, but as a will to power, to be imposed by law and government fiat. This in this quest for power, they have become masters at controlling not only knowledge but popular culture. For example, when Americans watch entertainers like Jon Stewart, they don't see an ideologue channeling liberal cliches. They see just a really funny guy. The ideology is completely buried. Young people respond in lockstep, not because they are, indoctrinated by some boring Maoist, but because they think the whole thing is great fun. What we have here is nothing less than a new and highly attractive form of illiberalism and illiberal liberalism, if you will. Intolerance is championed in the name of tolerance, closed-mindedness in the name of open-mindedness, and hatred in the name of compassion. It's classic doublethink, and the deception is precisely the danger. Americans don't expect liberals to be authoritarianism wolves in sheep's clothing. They are not prepared to be on guard all the time because liberals are supposed to be the good guys, the guardians of freedom of speech and the like. Alas, they are not. Just ask Condi Rice or anyone else who has been denied the opportunity to speak on American campuses. I would say that the two elections of Donald Trump, the COVID lockdowns, and the assassination of Charlie Kirk only prove that she was right. You see, all of those things happened after she wrote this. I think she's pretty dead on with her analysis. I would love to hear what you think about it. Of course, you can always do that at uncommonsensepodcast.com. And please go to our YouTube page, like and share. It always helps us. And thank you for listening. This podcast is a production of Morganite Communications.